We begin today's wrestling news and rumors video with some breaking news regarding the future plans for the current men's Money in the Bank briefcase holder, Austin Theory, as well as Roman Reigns' involvement in the shocking new rumored plans for Theory moving forward in WWE. And by all means, the Tribal Chief was a major reason as to why WWE have went in this direction with Austin Theory. Now, as most of you are likely well aware, Austin Theory's career in WWE at the beginning of last year in 2021 was not anything particularly special. In fact, Theory was still wrestling on the NXT roster, but as the year went on, Theory was eventually brought back up to the main roster, and it became very clear that Vince McMahon had huge plans up his sleeves for the 25-year-old in WWE. And heading into WrestleMania 38 this year, Austin Theory was really pushed to the forefront of WWE, and not only became the United States Champion, but at the Money in the Bank 2022 Premium Live event, Austin Theory climbed to the top of that ladder and captured the men's Money in the Bank briefcase, thus securing himself a World Championship opportunity whenever he chooses. While some fans were initially a bit upset about WWE deciding to give the Money in the Bank contract this year to Austin Theory, especially when there were other deserving, more proven superstars in the match including Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and Matt Riddle, over time quite a few fans began to appreciate Austin Theory, with lots getting to the point where they felt like Theory had a legitimate main event future in WWE, and could have been the future face of the company, and this was clearly Vince McMahon's vision with how heavily featured Austin Theory was on Monday Night Raw, despite just being a mid-card talent in NXT the year prior. However, like it has been mentioned many times before, things can change extremely quickly in WWE, and despite still holding that Money in the Bank briefcase, Austin Theory's career in WWE seems like it could be taking a massive nosedive in the near future, and it is partly because of the head of the table, Roman Reigns. When Vince McMahon suddenly decided to step down from WWE and essentially retire from the company back in July 2022, this meant that creative in WWE was being taken over by Triple H, and some of the projects that Vince McMahon had lined up for the future were no longer relevant. And unfortunately for Theory, he was one of Vince's pet projects, so to speak, and one that Triple H seemingly is not nearly as big of a supporter of. Ever since Triple H took over creative on the main roster of Raw and SmackDown, Theory's booking in WWE has been extremely weak, and he has not been presented as the future main event superstar that Vince McMahon had envisioned, at least not anywhere close to the way Vince McMahon was pushing Theory, with Austin getting clean wins over the likes of Kevin Owens when Vince was still in charge, and instead it has been a pretty long time since Austin Theory has really gotten a win of any kind in WWE with Triple H's led creative. And unfortunately, with the new backstage rumors and speculation going around right now, things are only going to be getting worse for Austin Theory moving forward in WWE. Now, for those of you unaware, on NXT this past week, Austin Theory showed up on the show with the Money in the Bank briefcase in hand, teasing the idea of cashing in the Money in the Bank contract for the NXT Championship at Halloween Havoc this Saturday. And while some fans were excited over the idea of Austin Theory potentially making history and cashing in his Money in the Bank contract for the men's NXT Championship, a lot of fans quickly pointed out the underlying feeling here about Austin Theory's tease in NXT, and that it shows that his future in WWE is heading down the tube, so to speak. It seems many feel this would be a massive waste of the Money in the Bank contract, and more so it would be a massive demotion for Austin Theory's career in WWE, who was being built up as the next face of the company by Vince McMahon. And instead of that coming to fruition, Theory was booked like he could not cut it on the main roster, taking continuous losses, and that he needs to once again come back to NXT to realize any form of success, the brand which Triple H has clearly labeled as developmental for WWE. Perhaps Vince McMahon was giving Austin Theory too big of a push and too soon, with many at the time feeling that Austin Theory was not ready for such a big role like being Mr. Money in the Bank. But the company have went with that storyline for months now, and to simply demote Theory at this point seems like a bad or unfortunate idea to many fans. And that while the idea of Theory being the NXT champion is sort of intriguing, it is a big waste of that Money in the Bank contract. Now, according to one of our sources, while Triple H was not nearly as big of a fan or supporter of Austin Theory as Vince McMahon was, Hunter still does see future potential in the young, aspiring Theory, and that he could do big things in WWE in the future. but apparently the current situation with the company's main roster world championships has unfortunately caused Triple H and WWE to completely change their plans for Austin Theory, hence why Theory is now seemingly chasing after the NXT Championship with that Money in the Bank briefcase. Triple H is reportedly a bit upset with the current situation we have right now with Roman Reigns holding both the WWE and Universal Championships as the Undisputed Champion, but this was something done while Vince McMahon was still in charge of things, and Hunter feels that he cannot simply end Roman's title run abruptly, as it has been built up way too much for that and needs to end at a major show like WrestleMania 39 next year, and this is the rumored reason why WWE have now eased off on the push of Austin Theory. New backstage reports have revealed that if Roman Reigns was not holding both the WWE and Universal Championships simultaneously, then Hunter apparently would have been fine with Theory attempting to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase for the WWE Championship on Raw, with Reigns still being the Universal Champion on SmackDown, but that's simply not possible with Roman Reigns being the Undisputed Champion. And with there not being any plans of Reigns losing the titles anytime soon, WWE are in a bit of an unfortunate situation with Theory, and in a sense, Roman Reigns and his monster push as the Undisputed Champion is basically responsible for Austin Theory's demise in WWE, at least short term, as Triple H feels like Theory does not have anywhere near enough credibility to cash in on Roman Reigns, and as a result, Austin Theory is now being demoted back to developmental in NXT, which is where he will likely cash in his Money in the Bank contract. Now, Roman Reigns may have already known that this was Austin Theory's future in WWE, when they had that segment together on Monday Night Raw back in July, which is where Roman delivered that memorable message to Theory that, quote, "Your daddy's not here anymore," referring to Vince McMahon no longer being in charge, because arguably ever since that point, Theory's career in WWE has sadly been on a downward trajectory, and again it is partly because of Roman Reigns tying up the WWE and Universal Championships. In all honesty, this is a pretty unfortunate situation that we have right now with Theory, and hopefully he can have a good run in NXT as a potential next NXT champion, and then eventually get moved back up to the main roster and get pushed to the top once Reigns is no longer the Undisputed Champion. But for the short term, this looks like a pretty big demotion for Mr. Money in the Bank Austin Theory. However, most fans can likely agree that there really is no universe in which Austin Theory cashes in on Roman Reigns, with there not being any way for WWE to get away with doing that because of how huge Reigns has been built up as the Undisputed Champion, and now with the Bloodline faction, so this run in NXT may actually be a good thing for Austin Theory in the long run, but regardless it definitely does still seem like a massive demotion nonetheless. But at the same time, WWE is no longer run by Vince McMahon, who felt Theory was ready for the spotlight months ago, and with Theory's recent booking on the main roster, it does still appear like Triple H feels Theory needs a lot more experience and fine-tuning before getting that main event push anyways.